chapter 28 and verse 37.
Read.
And thou shalt become an astonishment.
God said you're going to leave your raw status and you're going to become something to look at and say, wow, look at them niggas. Read.
A proverb.
A proverb. A nigga love chicken and watermelon.
And a byword.
An African American. That's what God said you're going to become. Read.
Among all nations.
He said among all nations. Give me that Lamentation. Hold that. Give me Lamentation 2:15. He said among all nations you're going to become that. Because it don't matter where you go in the world. As soon as you get out the plane, they're going to be like, what that nigga? Them Chinese going to be, that nigga. Them Arabs, the nigga. You a nigga everywhere you go.
Lamentation what?
2:15.
Lamentation. Chapter 2 and verse 15.
Read.
All that passes by clap their hands.
Right, so they have these little tour buses and stuff. They be riding bikes. Y'all ever seen a group of white men that riding a bike through your neighborhood? Cause they passing by like you a circus, you something to look at. But what they doing?
All that passeth by clap their hands at thee. They hiss and wag their heads.
They like this. These niggas. The Bible telling you about your enemies. Yes, sir.
Let me say something on that real quick. Get me 2 Samuel chapter 10 and verse 4. You know what's a good example of that? Or are you aware of any fashion designers? All right, there's one by the name of Balenciaga. You heard of Balenciaga? You see the brothers wearing it, the rappers, hip-hop. So you heard of Balenciaga, right, sister? You heard of Balenciaga? All right. So they just recently came out with a pair of jeans with some boxes attached to it. And the jeans sag. That's a perfect example of what he's bringing out, of us being a reproach, right? Us being a proverb and a byword. So now they're selling jeans that already come sagging. So now the so-called Negro, the so-called African-American, the so-called black man, you don't even got to worry about that now. Now you could just go to Balenciaga and get some sagging pants. But guess what? That was never our culture. Like the officer was saying before, we came from a nation of what? Kings and priests. Watch this. 2 Samuel chapter 10 verse 4. Come on.
2 Samuel chapter 10 and verse 4. Wherefore Hanun took David's servants.
So King David, you heard of King David before? King David was the king of the Jews. He was from the tribe of Judah. Hanun was the king of the Ammonites. Okay, so they were foes. They were at war with each other. They weren't friends. Go ahead.
And shaved off the one half of their beard.
So it was a shame for the Israelites to cut off their beard. Now our black brothers, guess what? They walk around and they willfully shave their beard. Why? Because the white man in America taught you that it's good to be what? Clean shaven. But there's no such thing as clean shaven. According to God, it's unclean. A man is supposed to have a beard on his face.
Right.
Okay? So God says Hanun took King David's servants, shaved off one half of their beard, and what else did he do?
And cut off their garments.
And cut off their garments, come on.
In the middle, even to their buttocks.
Even to their buttocks. He cut off their garments, what? To mock them. Go ahead.
And sent them away.
And sent them back to David. Go ahead.
When they told it unto David.
And when they told King David what Hanun did, go ahead.
He sent to meet them. Because the men were greatly ashamed.
Why were they ashamed? Because they didn't have no beard on their face. And they what? Their pants was sagging and cut to where it could show their butt. That was a shame for black people.
Right.
Now it's not a shame. Why? Because we've been thoroughly assimilated into Western imperialist culture. So now we don't give a damn. We fell from grace. We fell from what? Royal priesthood. Dignity at all. Go ahead, come on.
And the king said, tarry at Jericho.
So he told them, look, stay out in Jericho. Because remember, King David dwelt where? In Jerusalem. He told his servants, stay in Jericho outside of Jerusalem until what?
Until your beards be grown.
Until your beards be grown back. Go ahead.
and then return.
And then come back to Jerusalem. Now you don't see black people doing that. That's why we're a reproach in the city everywhere. To where you now you got European fashion designers making jeans that already come sagging. And you know what they say about the word sagging, spelled backwards, is niggers. So that's straight mockery on our people. It's time for you to wake up. You're not African American. Okay, that's a byword that the so-called white man put on you. Okay? And you, with that foolishness that you came up here before, but I see you humble down, saying that you don't believe in the book because it's written by man. Everything was written. The name that was given to you was by man. The term African American, where did they get that from? They got that from historical texts because they knew who Scipio Africanus is and who Amerigo Vespucci is. Okay? You just got to be able to get me one scripture real quick. Get me Isaiah 65 and 15. Is that the one that I want? Isaiah 65, 15, and where's the Ezekiel out of the book of the Lord? 34, 16. Go ahead.
You want 64?
Get me Isaiah 65, 15, then Isaiah 34. Go ahead. Isaiah 65, 15 first.
All right. Isaiah chapter 65 and verse 15. And ye shall leave your name for a curse.
Come on.
Unto my chosen.
Come on.
For the Lord God shall slay thee.
Who slayed us? God, because we continue to break his commandments. We got adultery, adulteresses, idolatry, breaking the Sabbath, eating unclean food, tattoos, right? Drugs, drug selling, drug taking, shaving off the beard. That's all we do as a nation of people. We continue to break God's laws. God said he's going to leave us for a curse. Go ahead.
And call his servants.
And call his servants, because we are God's servants. Come on.
By another name.
What's the other name? African American, Haitian American, Jamaican. Where are those words in the Bible? Nowhere to be found in the Bible. God called us Israelites.
That's right.
Give me Isaiah 34, 16. Go ahead.
Isaiah chapter 34, verse 16. Seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read.
Like the brother was bringing out the prophecies that was spoken about thousands of years ago. And it came to pass, what? Thousands of years later. No man, there's no book. Show me one book on this earth that could tell you about your past, your present, and future to a T outside of this Bible. None. So this Bible was not written by just regular men. It was written by the finger of God, given to holy men. And they were moved by the inspiration of the Holy Spirit to put what? Pen to paper to write down exactly what God said. Read.
Seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read.
Come on.
No one of these shall fail.
No one of these shall fail. Let me show you a perfect example of what God spoke thousands of years before that never failed. Go back to Deuteronomy 28. Officer Judah, I'm going to give you the mic right back. Deuteronomy 28, get me verse 47. Because the foolishness about the white man wrote this book, that got to stop. The white man didn't write this book. Give me Deuteronomy 28, verse 47. Read.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 47.
Come on.
Because thou servest not the Lord thy God with joyfulness and with gladness of heart.
We don't serve God with joyfulness. Today's the Day of Atonement. You brothers didn't know about Day of Atonement. And it's not to blame you. It's because it wasn't taught to you. Because guess what? 13, 14, 15 years ago, I didn't know about Day of Atonement either. But I was raised in what? Christmas, Thanksgiving, right? Mother's Day, Father's Day, birthdays, Easter. Those are the things we celebrated. Why? Because those are the things that we learned from the oppressor. Read, come on.
Because thou servest not the Lord thy God with joyfulness and with gladness of heart.
Come on.
For the abundance of all things.
So whatever we want, brother, you listening? Don't get distracted. For whatever we want, God said we had to come and serve him. Go ahead, come on.
Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies.
Therefore, because you don't want to follow the high holy days and the commandments that I gave you, you're going to serve your enemies. Your enemies are the ones that called you African Americans. Your enemies are the ones that gave you Christmas, Easter, all these things that you celebrate, New Year's. Go ahead, come on.
Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies.
Go ahead.
Which the Lord shall send against thee.
Come on.
And hunger.
You want food, you got to go to your enemies because you go to their stores. Go ahead.
And in thirst.
That bottle of water that you got right there, you didn't go to him. Did he produce that bottle of water? Did he manufacture it? Does he control the importing or exporting of those beverages? No. Go ahead.
And in nakedness.
Nakedness, the clothes on your back. Look at the tag. What does it say? Made in India, made in Italy. It doesn't say made by the Israelites. You don't control the raw textiles of those clothing lines. Go ahead.
And in want of all things.
Whatever you want. You want an education? You want to learn about God? Who did we have to go to? We had to go to the so-called white man. And that's history. Outside of the Bible. All religions created by him.
Right.
Episcopalian, Pentecostal, Roman Catholic, on down, was taught to us by the so-called white man. God said, because you didn't want to serve me, go ahead, serve the white man. The white man has become our stepfather in America. And we are still attached to him by the damn umbilical cord. Why? Because we've been thoroughly assimilated and integrated into his society. We don't want to let go. We don't want to come back, return to God, and depend on him. Go ahead.
And he shall put a yoke of iron.
Stop. Wow. This was written thousands of years before. Let's bring it back home to when you first came up and you said you don't believe in the Bible because it was written by man. God says you not only are you going to serve your enemies in the want of all things, but that same enemy is going to do what to you?
And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck.
And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck. Come on. Until dispensation of time, the yoke of iron would remain on our neck until
he have destroyed thee.
We are looking at a nation of destroyed people. Just look around. Brothers calling themselves African American instead of Israel or Judah. Guess what? That's a destroyed mind. Okay? Brothers calling themselves Haitian American or following religions. That's a destroyed mind. Anything outside of the commandments is a destroyed mind. The white man knew that. That's why he removed the yokes of iron from our neck. He said, you know what? They're destroyed. They ain't going nowhere. They still here, what? Marching. They still here trying to do sit-ins. They still, now, a couple of years ago, they were laying down in Macy's. You see a whole bunch of black bodies on the floor laying down trying to protest. That's all we do now. We haven't left yet. We haven't woken up to the fact that we are the Jews. We are the Israelites. God says, until we be destroyed. Go ahead.
The Lord shall bring.
Get me verse 68.
Verse 68.
Come on.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
What does the word Egypt mean? What is it synonymous with? When you hear about Egypt, what do you think about? When you keep it in biblical context. Okay, Africa, it is in Africa, correct. But were the Israelites ever in Egypt? Remember Moses? Remember the story of Moses? What were we in Egypt? Slaves. 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 400 years. Slaves. Now watch this. What's what God compares Egypt to? Go ahead.
Exodus chapter 20 and verse 2. I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt. Out of the house of bondage.
So God calls Egypt the house of bondage. Go back to Deuteronomy 20 and 68. Do you have money on you? Do you have anything on you? A dollar? Nothing at all. Do you have a dollar on you? Pull out a dollar real quick. Just pull it out. Don't worry, I don't want it. I don't want your money. This ain't the Christian church. Okay? Hold it up real quick. Hold it up. My boy, oh, pray. My brother got a $5 bill. All right, you balling. This is what I want you to do. Turn the back of the dollar around. Is it on the back or the front? Let me see the front real quick. No, not that. Hold it up. Hold it up. Let me see something. Let me see. No, that's not it. We need a dollar. Anybody got a dollar? Dollar bill. Okay. Go ahead. Read.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
The first time we walked into Egypt, when Moses rescued us, he took us out of Egypt by foot. But God says, I'm going to bring you into Egypt again with
ships.
How did the so-called black man come here to America? We came here on cargo slave ships. Whether it was Mississippi, New York, Alabama, we came here on cargo slave ships when we was packed up like a can of sardines. Look at the American dollar. You ever ask yourself, why is a pyramid on the back of the dollar? Why is the pyramid on the back of the dollar? Why does America have the obelisk in Washington, D.C. and other various states? Why? Why do they have the Egyptian obelisk, or however you pronounce it over there? Why is the pyramid on the back of the American dollar? Why? Because this is spiritual Egypt, where the children of Israel are still in captivity. Read.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
With ships, come on.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee.
By the way Moses said it was going to happen, it happened. He said we would have yokes of iron on our necks, that happened. He said that we would not be able to redeem our children, that happened. He said we shall only be crushed and oppressed forever, that happened. Come on.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again.
We're not going to see our homeland as a nation of people ever again until Christ comes back. Right now, you got white people in the land. Fake Jews. That's what they call themselves, Jewish. Khazars. Okay, Amalek, Edomites, Esau in the land, in our land. Go ahead.
And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies.
God says we shall be sold unto our enemies. Wherever those ships docked, when we got off those ships, whether it was Alabama, Florida, or Texas, we were sold. Nigga, sold to Master Patterson in Fort Worth. Nigga, sold to Mr. Robinson in Waco. That's Bible prophecy. Read.
For bondmen.
For slave man.
And bondwomen.
Slave woman. The sisters who sold with us. Go ahead, come on.
And no man shall buy you.
That word buy is an old English Quaker word which means to redeem. No man shall redeem you. No black man that has stood up has rescued us from the current condition that we're in. Khalid Muhammad tried, we seen what happened. Malcolm X tried, we seen what happened. Martin Luther King tried, we seen what happened. Marcus Garvey tried, we seen what happened. Harriet Tubman tried, we seen what happened. Sojourner Truth tried, we seen what happened. The only person that can save us is the man that he was just giving you the description of. That's the only black man that can save us is Jesus the Christ.
We used to scream black power while heroin was pushed. But at the end of the day, nothing's in vain. IUIC has been given a vision. The tents of Judah has risen. Many has attempted the mission. Minor murmuring, omitting, and missing the mark. Just reading that he had the flame of fire in his eyes gave us the spark. We on Paul's mission. We out on the road, purple and gold, from Mexico, Cuba, Haiti, Ghana, Sierra Leone. 144,000 boots banging, concrete crackling. These are our men repented at heart. The scriptures is proof. IUIC, we deliver the truth.